when she joined the Arizona Cardinals at training camp as an assistant inside linebacker coach back in 2015. She is here with me now, Jen Welter. She has a brand new book, Play Big. Look at that. It is out this week. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
What a dumb thing for him to say. Did you ever encounter that sort of overt sexism, like, this is a boys' club and I'm going to laugh at you for trying to be a part of it?
Well, you know, the first thing I want to say is relative to Cam. I know him. And we had a conversation after I met him on set of a show where he was showing a little girl how to play football. It was like her dream. And he was fantastic. And afterwards, he was kind of like, you know, Coach, it's like, I beat your team this year. And I said, yes, I know. And he's like, you weren't there. What would you have done differently if you were still there? And he was very curious, right? And I said, do you really want to know? He said, absolutely. I said, I would have played hard off the edge, kept you in the pocket, made you throw the ball, sent a spy on delayed blitz when we kept you pinned in, and by the way, taking out your tight end, right, by jamming him up on the line. And he just smiled. And he was like, that's a pretty good game plan. They probably should have kept you there. And so, to me, it's out of character for him.
Okay.
I won't stand up for what he said. It's obviously wrong. Any of us would be...
there are plenty of women who cover sports. There are plenty of female sportscasters and a lot of beat writers across the country who know the individual sports. And like you have played football.
Absolutely.
And that may be one of the things that keeps women from coaching, and a lot of color commentary in this country is not a lot of women play the sport.
Right, and it is. And that was one of the things, you know, people said, well, would they listen to you and did you face sexism? Well, those guys saw me actually as more of an insider and more similar to them and being alike than different, because they knew how hard it was for me to get there. You know, some of the guys would say, oh, my gosh, Coach, like, we thought it was tough for us. But for you, like, they knew everything about me. They knew that I had played women's football. They knew that I had played against men. And they were really actually excited and supportive. So though that comment is obviously something that we have to look at and address, I would say it is the exception, not the rule, at least in my experiences. And that's all I can speak from.
Yeah, but do you think you had to work twice as hard as a woman to get into a sport where very few have cracked the glass sideline, as they call it?
You know, for me, I hadn't thought of it as a possibility, and I think that that's the biggest thing.
How did you get the job?
I called the Cardinals on behalf of myself as if I wasn't myself. It's a full-time hustle being a female,
awesome.
Right? And that's one of those things where I say you had to work harder. But I was coaching in arena football at the time, and somebody asked Bruce Arians if he could ever see a female coaching in the NFL. And Bruce is the kind of guy who will tell you the truth. And he said the minute a woman can prove that she can make these guys better, she'll be hired. And so I called him. And I called on behalf of my head coach, you know, and coach to coach, you should talk to each other. And I kind of thought I had gotten blown off because I got to his assistant. And about 2 weeks later, I walked into practice, and my head coach was just elated. He said, you will never guess who I talked to yesterday for about an hour. And it was Bruce Arians.
Wow.
And he was committed to making that change because he had seen, or he at least liked the idea. Because one of the best coaches he would tell you he was ever around was a coach named Dot Murphy. And she was a receivers coach. And he said, you know, the fact that it hasn't gotten any better, that it hasn't changed in all these years, like, to be able to do something about that, I'd like to.
Yeah, said, because if a man comes out, if Anderson Cooper comes out, people go, nah, who cares? If a woman is coaching in NFL football, it's much more of a surprise. It doesn't seem like it should be that way.
Right.
Do you want to continue to coach in the league?
I love coaching. I actually was the head coach of the Australian women's national team over the summer.
Awesome.
Helped them field their first team, which was an amazing challenge. And I do a lot of things in it. I just launched a 12-city tour opening up flag football camps for girls because a lot of girls are playing and they really liked it. So I wanted them to have the opportunity to learn from both some of the best women in the game, right? So partnering with the local women's teams and the NFL alumni. So I partnered with the NFL Alumni National Office to offer this to girls. And then this past weekend, ran a camp with Snoop's Youth Football League. I don't know if you guys didn't know he's a huge football guy.
He's a huge football fan. His son went to UCLA for a little bit.
And he has his own league. But this was brand new because it was me, Snoop, and Deshaun Foster, and we did a camp for all special needs kids.
And that's how you play big. Jen Welter, thank you so much for being here. Appreciate it.